Yes. Jason?
You might want to fix your tie real quick.
Okay.
I was trying to get that in there before the stream started.
All right. Well, it's live. We're live. Welcome to Yes, California Calexit Congress. Let's go to the commercial and we'll get started right away. Whoops. There you go. Welcome to the Yes, California Calexit Congress, where we have the most pivotal discussion that Californians can have and where we make predictions about the future that other people are frankly too timid or scared to make and that happen to turn out to be true only months later. We routinely do that. We like to predict the future here, and we seem to be pretty good at it. And the future is America's not coming back together. There will not be unity. The signs are there, as we predicted 6 months ago. Now they're publicly declared. We'll be covering that today. And Californians at the federal government don't really seem to do very well. And America still doesn't seem to like California. We'll be covering new instances of that again today. And the Joe Biden administration is really just a continuation of the Trump administration as far as Californians are concerned. I understand that sounds radical, but we'll be covering that today. Hey, Fuji.
Hello, everybody.
So we will be covering the news today, but first, let's get into a couple things. Fuji Shiora's here. We're going to be talking about a new project that we're going to start in just 2 minutes. So Fuji, if you can hang out for 2 minutes, I'll get to you in about 2 minutes. Let me cover some other admin news, and then we'll cover the creation of a new political party, as we talked about earlier. So the first big news is this. Let me share screen. So Yes, California hosted a recall candidate debate, and it was wildly successful. I would encourage everybody to check it out. If you go to the Yes California YouTube page, we had Doug Osee there. He's one of the top 4 Congress members. We had the top Green Party candidate, Dan Kopelovitz. We had the top Democrat, Joel Ventresca, and the top Solidarity candidate, James Hannick. Additionally, we had Tom Elias, who's the reporter who started the 2003 recall there. So nobody has hosted more debates than Yes California. Nobody's hosted more candidates. We had about 25% of all the declared candidates when the recall started. By the way, we've never endorsed the recall, and we never said we supported the recall. Maybe individuals did, but the organization didn't. What we said that this was going to happen, and we wanted to be part of democracy and making sure the public was informed. That's our goal. Blah, blah, blah. We had the biggest debate. The reporter who started the 2003 recall was there, and we had the top 4 political parties there. No one's done that. All the debates are either they're exclusively Republican, basically. So this is the only debate showing the top candidates across political parties. No one else is doing that. And there seems to be no indication that anyone's going to have debates that are highly politically bifurcated. So very happy about that. It went extremely well. Here's the video. Tom Elias and Joel Ventresca, Doug Osee, James Hannick, and Dan Kopelovitz. So very pleased to do that. I'm going to mute a few people just to make sure that the stream is clean. Someone else is here, adding Robert. Okay, going back to share screen. So the other part of the email was that this part right here, we're going to get to all of it. We also advertised this week that the California and Texas independence movements participated in a secession conference. Now, Yes, California has talked to Texas nationalist movement before. That was pointed out to me. However, the leaders of the two groups have never met and dialogued with each other directly about specifically the topic of secession. The concept of having the top conservative political leader and the top conservative liberal leader meeting and discussing secession has never happened before. Like, they met and they specifically talked about this. That's never happened before, first time ever, and it was exclusively Yes California. Let me show you a little bit of that. So that's Daniel Miller, the Texas Nationalist Movement, and then this is me. So you can see that. Finally, we've had an organizational change. Louis Marinelli was announced by me as president of Yes California. He's going to be running as the 2022 candidate for California governor and the voice of Calexit. You can look him up at the California Secessionist. I am still executive director. My duties haven't changed. As you've known me, all the roles that I've held over the last 3 years, basically, I think it was July 4th, 2017. It is now the end of July 2021. So from July 4th, 2017 to the end of July 2021, or about 4 years, I've served as president. My duties and roles over that time will not change. Everything you've seen, I run the show, I curate the content, I give the permission for the projects, I run the meetings. That's still all the same. Louis will be president because he's largely holding a spokesperson role, and I'll be the executive director because typically executive directors run the daily operations. The reason that we did this was because the recall election basically catapulted Yes California to a new era. We've made incredible contacts with multiple Californians across multiple political parties across our nation, and they are willing to work with Yes California. We've also got editorials in newspapers out, and we were covered by Cal Matters, and multiple candidates are routinely calling us and asking for political advice with their campaigns. So we were able to raise the profile of Yes California to many people who are not associated with Calexit. We were able to raise the profile amongst at least 3 to 4 political parties and get in the news and get editorials. And basically, the success was largely because we appeared to be professional and corporate in look. Having the president as a spokesperson and the executive director run the daily operations is more in line with the corporate image. And we're doing it because it makes us look more professional and will help us achieve even more given the trajectory that we're on. I want to open it up to questions real quick about Louis as president. We're not going to spend all the time in the world on this because we're going to go to Fuji Shiora here in a second. We're going to go to Fuji Shiora here in a second talking about a new project. But if people have questions or comments about Louis being president and me as executive director, please ask those now. You are unmuted. The public can also post questions and I'll take those too. Guy McDade. Yes, California. We based our campaign off Yes, Scotland. Hi, Guy. Okay, any questions about Louis being president? Any questions at all from anyone?
Is this going to help you to kind of what we've talked about with delegate some of the duties and responsibilities out? That way it's not just one person working on 1,000 different things.
It does. Thank you, Jason. Yes, it absolutely does. So largely things will stay the same, but now that Louis has the title of president, and that's largely as a spokesperson role, not as a director, he has a little bit more wiggle room, and so there'll be less need for dialogue and conversation, allowing him to act faster. And as you know, with the media, it's about responding quickly. It's about responding quickly. So if you want to get news, you have to respond quickly. You have to be quick. Somebody has to be responsive to the news when they call, when they ask questions. And when something newsworthy happens, you have to comment quickly. Louis, with the title, giving him permission to do that to a large extent, based within confines and backgrounds we've already discussed, will absolutely help Yes California move faster to deal premier media content faster. Any other questions? Anyone at all? And anyone from the public, you can post on the comment thing on YouTube, and I will see your comment and answer the question. Okay. I would also point out, thank you, Devil War. I'll get to that question in a second. I'd also point out that we ran a poll on the Yes California Twitter page about the idea of Lewis returning as president. Before I announced it, that poll was pivotal in helping me make my decision, and it showed somewhere around 90% support. So every indication before we made this announcement and after the announcement has been that basically Yes California members are okay with this. So at least the online persona of 160,000 people, we did a poll, 90% approval. We've also made the announcement. There's been no pushback. Nobody's called me saying I have to quit the organization. So we've lost no members. I haven't received any phone calls, any emails or texts where people are upset about this, which they have the right to be if they want. And we had a poll that backed it up. So every indication shows that largely, Yes, California is cool with this. I mean, I'm waiting for someone to push back. I'm sure there are people outside of the organization who don't like this, but inside the organization, with the 160,000 people across Twitter, Facebook, and our mass email and other social media platforms, I've heard nothing. Okay.
Well, and I think that may be partly because it's been made abundantly clear that the federal government of the United States even looked into us. 3 different investigative branches looked into us as thoroughly as they possibly could, looking to see if they could get us on anything. And they had to admit that we have done nothing wrong. We are completely legal, totally peaceful, and there's no reason for them to have any interest in us whatsoever. And
Thank
so
you.
people can't just say, well, what about Russia? Well, what about Russia? We're in California. We're talking California. Russia's got nothing to do with it.
It is nice that we have the truth out. So 2017, 2018, people were saying anything they wanted, and it was fine, and the news would print it. There was a lot of speculation 2017, 2018, a lot of suggestions, a lot of rumors, and none of it was true. But I remember talking to people in 2017, 2018 going, there's no evidence for that. And the response was, the evidence is coming. No matter what you said, people could make up rumors, make up lies, make up suggestions. They could do it at the personal level. They could do it as a professional media reporter. They could do it as a news agency. They could do it as an editorial group. And they would just go, well,
I was going to say Rachel Maddow, even that it wasn't suggestion what she said. She straight up claimed that there was proof that we are in fact paid for by Vladimir Putin himself.
Yeah, and that was found to be not true. So the FPPC, Fair Political Practice Organization in California, subpoenaed our bank accounts and found nothing. So there was no foreign money. They looked at the bank accounts.
I don't get billions of dollars.
Yeah. Let me just wrap through this real quick. The FPPC looked at us. They subpoenaed the bank accounts. I was there. They found absolutely nothing and totally dropped the case. I emailed 39 reporters who had spread rumors about us receiving money in Russia collusion to at least update their articles. Not one responded. 39 reporters wrote about us, spread rumors. I came back to the exact reporter, 39 of them, tracked them down. Each one got an email from me personally saying, hey, you wrote this. This is not true. Here's the investigation. Update your article. No response. 39. I additionally emailed those reporters that the Mueller report said that no Americans were in collusion with the Russian government. That was another rumor spread, disproven by the federal government. Additionally, I informed them about the Senate and House Select Intelligence Committee that showed the Russian-backed Calexit tweets that refer to Cal Rep, not Yes Cal, Cal Rep, an account we've never heard of. So 2 federal investigations found absolutely nothing and said there was nothing there. And a California investigation that looked into our bank accounts found absolutely nothing and dropped the whole thing. But 39 separate reporters can't report that. This is the world we live in. So let's go to, yeah, Mike, you're right. We need to get a lawyer involved, cease and desist letter, slander, libel, defamation. It is slander. And one more thing that basically Jason was pointing out was that Rachel Maddow has since been called fake news. So you're not going to hear that in the media, but she lied about a organization and said they received money directly from the Russian government. There was no evidence for that at all. She went on TV and said, literally, this group is receiving money literally from the Russian government. That was a total lie. There was zero evidence. She was sued, and a federal court said, you lied, and you made a statement based upon lies with nothing to back it up at all. And MSNBC, her parent company, said, yes, that's true. And then they said, Rachel Maddow is not news, she's entertainment. So the main person who slammed us and spread those lies has been called by a federal court a liar who lies and lies right on TV and is fake news. No one's covering that. So we get slammed by fake news. A court of law says it's fake news. We get cleared by 2 federal investigations and 1 California investigation. There's nothing there. No one covers that, and no one mentions that at all. That's the world we live in. Let's go to Fuji. Fuji, I'm going to unmute you now. Sorry, brother.
That's okay.
So I know you heard a little bit of the negative part of this movement, but hey, you've been in politics. You know the rough and ready. It happens. Didn't stop us. We're still here, and we actually had incredible growth recently. In fact, Fuji, we met through the recall debates. And he was great. Jason likes you, by the way, and everybody says incredible things about you. So Fuji, you were talking about the idea of launching a political party for Yes California. Why did you suggest that? What brought you to this place? And I want to say, Jason, thanks for making the earlier comments. I just had to get through that segment. Thank you, Jason. Fuji, why did you make a political party? Why do you want to make a political party? Why did you approach us about this idea? What's going through your head?
Well, what was the most important reason is talking to so many fellow Californians, conservative, Republican, Democrat, they all had a desire for a Yes California form of independence. And so in some form or fashion. And some of these voters were interested in more or less degrees of independence. And this is why it's so important for me to give or allow to empower California voters with a choice of other than just a 2-party system. And with that said, now is the time to say, hey, I met so many people from all of California, from all political spectrums and preferences, that Democrat and Republicans are not offering a choice for our California voters. And we have to give our voters a yes choice, a yes to a sovereign choice. And that's where Yes California could come in as a new political party for those people that are politically in the middle, moderate, sensible, logical, have common sense, and really embrace what we're the best at, diversity, differences, because we are a state of so many different people, and that's what makes us great. And right now, more than ever, we need choices. And Yes California could give us that choice as a political entity, as a political party, as a political caucus, not just here in California, but be inspirational around the seas. Because this is liberty of life, liberty of choice, liberty who and how and when. And this is where Yes California could go back to its very founding in 1849 and say, hey, now is the time to say California, yes, we are all Californians. And having a political entity, a political party, a political candidate for Yes California is one way to offer voters a legitimate, fair, impartial way to move forward. Thank you.
Thank you. I just want to take a few comments. Again, Guy McDale, hi from Scotland. Yes, California was based upon the Yes Scotland independence movement years ago. Devil War, yep. We are looking forward to having California president. Arlette Dyer, we'll get to the moral code, but basically we are for helping the homeless and for inclusion and taking care of Californians, and we have California values. And we want righteous, loving people helping California too. That's what we're about. Joseph Boyle says, we're leading, not leaving. And he said that to Fuji. Jason, let me call on you. You're always helping me out with political parties. What do you think about Fuji's idea of launching a Yes California political party? Obviously, we'd have, to workshop it and figure out exactly what it stands for. Fuji's already working on a list of ideas for a platform. But I'd like to see what people think in general about Yes California attempting to launch a political party. Any comments, please direct them to Fuji. Jason?
Yeah, so I had actually been thinking about something like this, I want to say about a year and a half ago. We had started looking at how to form political action committees and how to form political parties and all of that. And back then, and I'd totally love to use this name for it. Back then, I had come up with an idea. What would the name of the party for independence be? The CIP, California Independence Party. And then the slogan would be, come and take a sip from the cup of independence. And sip is spelled CIP. So
Well, that's interesting.
I put some serious thought into it, started thinking marketing and all that. And it basically just came down to time and money. Time I have a lot of. Money I have like literally zero. So.
And because you said that, it's a testament that this is a grassroots, everyday person aspiration in so many people. This is really ground zero for liberty and justice and equality and inclusion. And this is why, more than ever, I feel confident that a new political party could coexist with the other political parties under the name Yes California. But what does Yes California mean? Yes to ignorance and hate and deceit? Yes to not inclusion? Absolutely not. We know what Yes California means. Yes California means inclusion, tolerance, diversity. That's what everything California is. And let's be honest, mathematically, we are now becoming more diversified ethnically. We have over 15 million, more or less, some form or fashion Latino speakers in the state of California. And so now is the time to really embrace that we could be a leader, not just for democracy within California, but for our sister country, the United States. Okay, now more than ever is the way to move forward. And if and when a political party comes to fruition called Yes California, I would propose that now is the time to consider to have a legal, peaceful devolution of the state of California into a territorial form of government like Puerto Rico.
I saw Lewis, you joined us, brother. Comments? We're in an early point of stage in this discussion. It is not baked in. We're listening to ideas. Lewis, I know you looked into this before. You taught me a lot about it. What do you think a political party should be that like Fuji's talking about? Or what are the key things we'll need to make sure to do?
Sure. Can you hear me all right?
Yes, sir. Yes, we can.
I had heard the messages that Jason, or not messages, but I guess I heard Jason speaking in the beginning. I think that's something that we have been discussing for a while, kind of in the back burner, but it's always kind of not been our particular agenda, although we haven't been opposed to the idea. But I just wanted to point out one thing that I think is important to take in consideration when it comes to naming this party, if we go forward with it. And I know that Jason mentioned California Independence Party. I think it's very straightforward. I like it. The problem is that the word independence is used by several other parties. And I think that people will inevitably confuse it with, say, being an independent voter, not in support of independence. And I say that from a point of view of when Marcus and I started this thing back in 2014, our organization was called Sovereign California, because we were tearing off the word of sovereignty for California, but many people believed that we were a sovereign citizens organization because our name was Sovereign California. And so when we had our events in public, we were waving the American flag, and people were still asking, or not, waving the California flag above the American flag, and people were asking us still if we were sovereign citizens. So I think that using the word independence, even though it ends in CE in text, to be clear, or more clear anyway, when people are reading it, when we say it, I'm a member of the California Independence Party, people might think it's referring to independent voters who are, not affiliated with Democrats or Republicans, or who are like an independent party. And in fact, I think that there is a California, maybe it's called the Independent Party of California or something like that. So there could be some confusion there. And so I would just suggest thinking of a name where it's not going to sound like the word independent as an independent voter, like Ralph Nader was an independent candidate or something like that, but not in support of independence. That's just my my 2 cents there.
Marketing is going to be key.
Yeah, and I hear that point loud and clear. I hadn't thought of that, and I do acknowledge that is a very valid point.
I wish we could use the word independence, but the thing that reminds me the most of is when I don't know if you recall, but a couple of years ago there was a political party that was formed in California, and I forget the name of it, but it was something like American Independent Party or something like that. And people were joining it in droves because they thought it was like an independent party, like they're not Democrats, they're not Republicans, but really it was like a far right wing party or something like that. And I think that that word independence there, I think, is difficult to use because of the fact that we use the word independent voter and things like that. So maybe we can think of a word or another expression, or put the word first, maybe like independence. I don't know. We'll have to workshop it basically.
Please comment now.
Yeah, I put out some suggestions for names, hypothetical names for the party. But Fuji, are you running for governor for this recall election?
I'm sorry, I muted him. I'm sorry. You're unmuted, Fuji. Sorry about that. My bad. That's my mistake. I apologize.
No problem. No, I am not running for California governor for 2021. My voters want me to run for 2022. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Fuji's not going to run. They want him to run in 2022.
Hello. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you.
So in 2021, no, but for 2022, yes, indeed.
I saw one of the suggestions for where. Can you pop those back up? There you are. Yeah. I think so. We'll work through some of these. The only thing I like California First Part just because I like that platform, obviously. But there's a problem with, for example, New California, because there's another group out there. I think it's called New California, isn't it?
California.
It's not a political party, but they want to break California off into 2 states or something like that. Basically, inland California and coastal California, because they want to have the 51st state be New California. They have like this Declaration of Independence and so on and so forth.
Well, I will say this. I like the new political party to be called Yes California. Currently, I'm in Los Angeles, City of Angels, and I'm proud to say we are now in a very different era. And when we could say Yes California, a majority of Latino voters I've spoken to can also say Sí California. Okay. And I think all Californians, we could look on our better angels to be inclusive, tolerant, freedom loving Californians. And in the City of Angels, be a
Fuji will be right back.
yes.
Yeah. I have to say, I kind of, just my 2 cents, I don't care what the name is, whatever the group decides. But if we're talking about branding and marketing, Yes California is known. If we call the party the Yes California Party, it immediately attaches everything our movement's been to that party. So the party platform could say it's all about unicorns and puppies. And maybe that's what it needs to say to get everybody to join. But if it has a title, it's linked to us. Marketing wise, that's kind of a good thing because it forces the media.
And
But
one
what,
reiterate, it's easier to say it in Spanish also. Sí, California. Sí. It's
California.
a phrase, yes. In Spanish politics, they have something called sí se puede, which is a very popular term. Yes, we can. And when you say sí, California, sí se puede, it has a powerful, concise, precise message.
Bruce? I'm just joking because I have a sense of humor that's probably not appreciated in California. But when you say see California, I'm like, yeah, I see it. What do you want me to say? This is my stupid joke and my stupid sense.
No, it's a good one. It's a good one. I do see California, but that's kind of cool, right? See California. Yes, I do. Sí se puede.
Absolutely.
What about Calexit Party?
That's one too.
I don't know. I'm just throwing ideas out because I think that Yes California. I mean,
I would
Well,
say
here,
that,
Let me hear from Robert real quick. I want to get as
Yeah,
many ideas in.
so the issue Calexit, that's huge, but I think we should also I think it would be a mistake to be like a one issue independence party. And I think we should identify what are the top California issues, focus on California issues that are being neglected by a one party state that's focusing on nationwide American issues. We should focus on California issues as opposed to just being a one party, a one issue party.
yeah.
good point. I hear you.
Well, I think what's really important to remember is that we do have Republican and Democrat voters I met with, Libertarians, Green Party, that some wanted different versions of independence. And so I want a territorial status for the state of California, somewhere like a Commonwealth, perhaps like the Marianas or the Marshall Islands or Puerto Rico, preferably. So this way we have more choices in governance and making laws also. And that's also, of course, as you know, Puerto Rico has federal laws also from the US government. And so this would make things a lot more expeditious, faster, if you will. And I also believe that Yes California is such a simple message. I mean, what do you mean by Yes California? And that's to yes to everything that's Californian, us, people that will know what California is about. And that's so much about being open minded, being inclusive, and looking at bold new ideas. And when I say yes, California, I say yes, I was born here. Yes, I'm bilingual. Yes, we're different, and that's great. We could disagree and do things and create marvelous wonders in science and technology and movies. And this is the time to really say, hey, yes, California means yes going forward. And there's no confusion when you say yes, California with other political parties. Green Party, Libertarian Party, American Independent Party, and so many others that may come to fruition too. That I do believe there might be some other political parties in the near future due to the divisiveness of our, broken family members in Washington, D.C. And now as California has to say, hey, California, what is the best for Californians? And for me, I believe one possibility is a Puerto Rico like governance form of independence for the state of California and for the families and everybody in California. Thank you.
Obviously, we'll have to workshop the name, but to move the discussion forward, I want to get some clarity. How do people feel about, and I've been talking to Lewis and Jason intently because they were really looking into political parties years ago, and Fuji has been a driving force on this. Just so that we can make some action items. How do people feel about it should be a party that's open to multiple other political candidates? So if you're a Republican, you're a Green, you're a Dem, you can come in. So we're not trying to align it as you're excluded. We want to have different people from different walks of life. But one thing that Lewis said, and I keep hearing this from Fuji, there's got to be a platform of things you back.
Yeah, I would say that there should be a platform, but it should be like a living or flexible platform. So everyone who's, say, on the board can propose a position, and then it would be constantly evolving. Like, it wouldn't be rigid, but there should be some platform, because parties that, if it just says the party's for independence, but there's no platform and it's very bland, then that's not gonna excite people. And discussing crucial California issues is key.
Mark, I would also point out that
please,
with the idea that there should be planks in the platform beyond the independence issue, I'm not here to promote any other parties, but there is a party out there that pursues that agenda, and they have generally left liberal position. So if we were to also be a political party that adopted leftist liberal positions, it would basically be the same thing as that other party. We would have difficulty distinguishing ourselves as a party aside from them. So we would have to make a mental note that we would need to take positions that were like opposite in some respect on some issues in order to be different.
I agree 100%. Like, it should be a sort of like unity platform, and look at the different geographic regions of California, different ideological groups, and try to be a kind of unity fusion platform that would have something for everyone. Just like Lewis mentioned, that there's a California National Party, which is more of a left-wing party, but obviously you don't want to be like a duplicate party that you want to stand out as unique.
Yeah, because the people who are just coming into the discussion are going to say, well, why are there two groups that are promoting the same thing? Why don't you just join together as one? And I think we have at Yes California a distinctly different worldview than those who make up the other group. So I would, and I'm not opposed to having different positions, because I'm not a member of that group for particular reasons. I don't agree with things that they support in many respects. So I just want to make sure that everyone else knows as well. I don't know what everyone else's politics are, that if we were going to create a party, it would have to be somewhat, like Robert is saying, kind of a centrist, which I think is kind of ironic if you say the word unity, because we're talking about secession, but a centrist big umbrella group that would try to appeal to many people. But then the downside of that is in the society that we live today, it's so polarized that it's difficult to find people who are willing to take, a centrist position on things. And for example, I know that Marcus has had trouble with this. He's pretty liberal on most issues, but there's some issues where he's not, and so he's not accepted as a liberal because he's a little bit more conservative in one issue. And I'm the same thing. I'm a mixed bag. I'm a very mixed bag. I support things from Bernie Krat stuff to Donald Trump stuff. So it's going to be difficult for me to go out there and say, well, we're, a centrist group, and so join us. But then they're going to say, well, you support this, and so I don't agree with you. And the other people are going to say the opposite. So I think that we might, at least considering the world we live in today, fare better in society if we take strong positions in one direction or the other. I just don't think that there's many people left out there who are centrists, but I could be wrong.
Let me ask for clarification real quick. Fuji, I love you, brother. I'm just occasionally muting you because there's some wind in the background. So you are loved.
I understand.
Okay. Nothing but love. Let me just get some clarification real quick. Can we agree that there should be a platform of issues that all the candidates would have to agree to, that we're going to be accepting of all political parties, and that we're not just going to paint ourselves as another progressive lefty party? Because I got to tell you, everybody's doing it. The other political party that Lewis is referring to went like full left. And then there's also the Bernie Sanders third wave party. There's also the Green Party. And then there's the Dems. Like, this is a hole that's been dug out. Come on. Can we agree on those three things? I'm not saying that I'm a lefty, but I'm not saying, can we agree we're not going to make another lefty party because that's done to death. We're going to have a party that's anybody from any political party could join, but there's at least going to be 10 things maybe that you got to agree to.
Yeah, Marcus, I mean, personally, just to answer first, I mean, I don't want to stop anybody else from answering.
No, please.
But I would just say that I agree that shouldn't be just another left party, but on the other hand, it is California, so we don't want to be a right-wing party, I don't think, either.
No, we'd never be a right-wing party.
And I'm a pretty conservative guy, and I'm just saying that because I'm trying to do what's best for the group. I take some pretty right-wing positions on several issues, so I'm not talking just from my own point of view. I'm talking about the reality of the situation. Is California is a pretty leftist state, so my suggestion anyway, would be have the position be we support California independence. If you do too, be you a Bernie-crat or be you a Trump supporter, you can join the party and take positions on the other issues as you see fit. The thing that unites the people in the party is the issue of secession. And therefore you could have, for example, Fuji is pro-life, probably not very well accepted by leftist groups because of that. They're going to call him, trying to say that he's controlling women's bodies and blah, blah, blah. And so if we don't even dig those holes and take positions, for example, on abortion, take positions on all those other issues that are so politicized right now, we can find people who are willing to join the party and they're free to take their own position. That's a unique thing. Imagine a political party where you can join and you only have to agree on one thing and you're accepted. And that one thing is basically that California should become more of its own country. And you could be conservative, you can be liberal, you can be socially conservative and politically or fiscally liberal, or the vice versa. And it meets the goal of being, like we were talking about earlier, a wide open tent, because it accepts basically everybody. I mean, we don't want to accept, of course, members of the KKK and stuff like that. But generally speaking, if we have an open party, and the thing that unites people together is support for California first policies and independence, and that could be a possible solution.
I will say that, going back to what I said earlier, I think one key feature of a future Yes California political party would be two words: sovereign choice. And for me, sovereign choice is for the state of California voters to have a choice to have us become like Puerto Rico, which they're part of the U.S. in some form or fashion. Puerto Rico has some form of autonomy in some form and fashion. And this is a perfect combination and balance that I think would be very politically beneficial for both the United States and for a future territory, California, in that aspect. And would also invite other elected officials in that aspect.
Fuji, you know what I like about your answer is I met you when I first met you and started talking to you. You were pretty much, I mean, not really opposed to the idea of California becoming independent, but you're very skeptical of it. And now you want to start this party with a platform plank which will be basically supportive of independence. And your personal position is to do something to make California like Puerto Rico. But just going back from where me and Marcus came from, we came from that point, and we eventually evolved to full secession too. So I'm thinking that maybe in another year, you might be full-blown secession as well.
But we got to give room for people to get there on their own. So let So I think I'm hearing consensus. I have something on the background. Can we roughly agree that this party would, one, identify a platform of issues all candidates have agreed to, which is basically a range of independence options. So for some of us, we're like full secession right now. For other people like Fuji, and Fuji's made a brilliant case for this. Hey, sovereignty, like Puerto Rico. And then I know for other people, they generally like the idea of telling the federal government, we don't need you and we'll do whatever we want. I mean, we've talked about this. So just to bring up the stats, February 2017, 47.5% of Californians said they were willing to discuss secession, Reuters Ipsos. That same month, 65% of Californians said, let's ignore the federal government drug laws and let's ignore immigration laws from the federal government. That's called nullification. It last happened in South Carolina, which led to the secession. Californians don't see it that way, but that's what it is. So is everybody cool if we leave? Basically, we say you have to be for California sovereignty, sovereign choice. You can have a range of options, full-blown secession, territorial status like Puerto Rico, or if you're not there yet, kind of nullification, which is ignore federal laws and do what we want, which is wildly popular in California. Secondly, if you're willing to do those things, we'll take you from whatever party you are and not just be another lefty party. So basically, we would say, here's these 10 things that basically deal with ways California could be more independent. You have to agree that they're roughly okay. And you have to agree that some people are going to say full-blown secession like me. Some people are going to say like Fuji, territorial status, which isn't, he makes a strong, strong case for, and I've heard other people say. And some people are going to say just more ignore the federal government and do what we want. All three of those things are more sovereign choice. Are people okay if we say, hey, you got to roughly support California independence, but there's these range of options, and we're accepting of all political parties. You can take your stance on abortion, whatever you want, but you got to be cool with these things, and we're not just another left party. Is there roughly consensus around that?
Yes.
Yeah, I would be for that. I like the idea that there could be a spectrum of support for independence. So like, the independence light is like, well, I'm not opposed to it. I think it warrants looking into it, and hey, whatever the people decide. All the way to the other end of the spectrum, where it's folks like Marcus, Lewis, myself, who are like, Calexit now.
We can call that first position the Fuji spot. When you start,
Yes, indeed.
it's your beginning of your path towards your road to Damascus moment begins at the Fuji spot.
That's okay. I'm sorry, Fuji. I'm going to have to write that in the notes. That's pretty
Sounds
damn
good to me. Sounds good to me.
Okay, so we have some rough agreement, it seems like. One second here.
I'd like to point out real quick that several years ago, I was tasked with helping that other political party try to figure out issues and where to stand, and then also how to stand. I still, they never really liked my language. They never really used it, right? So I still have all of that stuff written from years ago. A lot of it's still fairly pertinent, like, judicial accountability. What happens when a judge lets a kid off for violent sexual assault, when he's been caught red-handed in the act? There is no way to even deny it. And the judge lets him off with a slap on the wrist because he, quote, doesn't want to destroy this young man's life. You know,
I remember that.
Yeah.
I remember that now that you brought up the quote about not wanting to destroy the young man's life. Before I didn't remember that, but I remember that quote.
Yeah. Yeah, the Brock Turner case was
Well, hey,
Oh, that guy?
kind of,
listen, I think that you're trying to use that text. That I think it's a good way for us to announce that we're working on in the background, redeveloping our website, well, particularly our blog in particular, to allow for guest writers to submit content of their own to the Calexit blog, and to make it kind of not like a media site, but an active site for basically Calexit activists. And so if we had this, for example, this whatever we call it, political party, and people were joining it from different parts of the political spectrum, based on the idea that we all supported California First policies and the idea of California becoming more independent, then they would be free and welcome to submit guest articles. I know some of our members like to write, and then it would be posted on the Calexit blog and shared on the Calexit platforms, social media platforms. And I think that'd be a good way for people, like, for example, Jason, I know you like to write, and you have some text written out, and you have some positions on issues that you believe in. So that'd be an opportunity for you to write out what you wanted to write out, give it a nice headline, find an appropriate picture, submit it to the Calexit website, or yescalifornia.org, and then it would be posted there as part of the Calexit blog, and then we can have an active blog where there's members posting, different people writing on different topics, and it could be right wing, it could be left wing, it could be center, but it's going to demonstrate the fact that the Calexit Party, or the Yes California Party, whatever it becomes, is an open tent party with people with various different opinions on different issues. But what's going to be a common thread is that everyone seems to somewhere in their articles say California should become its own independent country, or more like Puerto Rico. Which I would advise not using against, because when we started talking about Puerto Rico, a lot of people said, well, that's not a good example because look at how impoverished the island is sometimes and things like that, which is not their fault, but that's what people say. When we go around telling people that we want California to be like Puerto Rico, they start bringing up the poverty of the island. So just so you know, Fuji, when you go out and start talking about that.
Fair enough.
yeah,
But I
well,
was
and also, their Congress member is a non-voting member. So it's like, just that one specifically, a lot of Californians might look at that and be like, well, we have voting members now. Why would we get rid of them? Why would we change it only to get rid of them?
Yeah, it'd be difficult to explain what the specific benefit of that is. Because if you become, for example, fully independent, then you can say benefit A, B, C. But if you become like Puerto Rico, you say, okay, you're going to give up your representation. What are you going to get in return for that? I mean, you worked it out. You come up with some answers, but you have to explain it to people.
You're muted on your end, Fuji.
Yeah,
You have to
hi,
unmute.
Marcus. Those are excellent points that was made. And I would like to propose on next Sunday, I will explain in more detail the benefits of the state of California becoming a territory like Puerto Rico. I would think if we could have another hour next week, we would dedicate what are the benefits, what are the cons, is it good or bad? And these are valid points brought up by Lewis and Jason, and they should be adequately addressed. And I would very much appreciate to have the time to address those very valid concerns this upcoming Sunday for another hour, if it's okay with everybody here.
Marcus, do you
I
still have
would
that?
also like to hear it. I'm interested.
Yeah. Lewis?
Marcus, do you still have that enormous California territory sign that we used to drag around?
Yeah, I do.
You
Yeah,
said
I
it,
actually do.
Fuji, we got a sign for you to go hang around behind you and go talk about it.
It's
do.
called Providence. Providence. Maybe. Just saying. Providence.
Well,
Just saying.
if I may, as I was talking to Fuji about this, I said, well, let me look at the manual on how to succeed at secession. It's a joke. There's no manual.
Yeah.
We don't know the exact right way, and there's many different people who respond to different messaging. So we tried sovereignty. We weren't able to make it work. So we went to full secession, but that was us. That was 4 years ago. Maybe the climate's changed. Maybe Fuji has some way of presenting this that opens up new doors. Lewis, I've learned from you when we did the Valentine's Day campaign that you can spend all your time, do all sorts of research, come together with some, we put thousands of dollars into one campaign, it did okay. And then you and I were kicking back one afternoon, and over 5 minutes, you go, you know what? Let's have a heart, and then we break it and we release it on Valentine's Day and put $100 in Facebook advertising. That was one of our most successful campaigns. And we didn't even think
simple ideas. So simple ideas you don't have to explain, because once you start explaining politics and government systems and all that kind of stuff. I mean, the fact that Fuji, for example, wants to spend an hour explaining to it, that you're not going to have an hour with people you come across on the street. They're gonna give you 30 seconds, and once they lose interest, they're gonna all of a sudden have plans and they're late for lunch. So if you can come up with Fuji, maybe you can, just for the sake of it. I mean, you can of course talk an hour next week. It's fine. We're not objecting to that. I'm just saying that as a part of that presentation, maybe you come up with the 30-second argument. Like, tell me in 30 seconds why California should be like Puerto Rico, not a state, and also not independent.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
By the way, I always wanted to ask Fuji, but we're always busy with the debates. Is your last name at all connected to the mountain in Japan?
Yes, Fuji Mountain. And I would say that there's a lot of change coming, and this California Japanese mountain is here to stay. And I'm proud to say, as a son of Republic of California, I'm so proud to be here and have the opportunity next Sunday to explain in 30 seconds and an hour why it would benefit us and fellow Californians as a territorial commonwealth of sorts, like Puerto Rico. And may I add, I will start looking this week. Perhaps we could do a venue live with maybe Marcus, you could help out, maybe at the Mercado, or maybe at the other museum up in near the LAX. We could look into that. Because El Segundo, second chance. And let's look into perhaps a co-location. We could somehow meet. And that would be great. I'd be willing to meet next Sunday on location, somewhere in between Los Angeles County, so we could get this going. And I think it is important. We need time to explain why. What are the pros and cons? And I would take it one step further. I would say this is the time to really look into it and encourage other elected officials to participate.
The point of this organization, especially Calexit Congress, is to raise the profile of this discussion. Having intelligent people discuss what's the right way for California to be independent is the goal being reached. I mean, it's not necessarily that we have a clear decision, it's that we are having the conversation, it's intelligent, and we are attracting new people to that. So just having this debate with two smart people disagreeing on what's the right way forward is winning.
If I could point out, I'd just like to point out that, like, we also never had an elected official before. So, like what we were saying of, we tried it this way, it kind of didn't really work out for us. So we tried it this way, and now we're trying it this way. Well, one thing that we never got to try before because we didn't have it was have an elected official being up there saying, yeah, this is not insanity. This isn't a crazy idea.
Yeah, and I would say the brave women and men I talked to in the Army, Marines, Air Force, Navy, Space Force, they all resonated with me that they will have a dream for California that's very different than statehood. And I really am privileged to be able to speak on their behalf, although they're concerned about their identity because of the situation, the divisiveness going on in our country. I'm proud to be here in that capacity. I invite fellow elected officials to do the same. We're here to listen. Yes to California, yes to listening, yes to tolerance, yes to understanding. And I can't understand what's being a Californian without different ideas, different proposals. Because California is different than other states. That's what makes us the best.
Okay, just a little admin. So we are agreed. Fuji should explore the possibility of creating a political party for Yes California. We have some debates on the name, that's fine. But we roughly agree there should be a platform identifying issues all candidates have to agree to that basically gets it that we need more independence. It allows a range of choices for sovereignty, but basically it gets at California having more independence. It's accepting of members of all political parties, and it's not just another lefty party. I'm hearing consensus. Is anybody opposed to that? Okay, then it's done. Fuji will, guys, can you make relevant comments, please? I understand people have political things they want to say. Please focus on the meeting, okay? Because I have to take time to read the comments. So let's make them about what we're talking about, please. Anyways, yes, so we are agreed. Fuji is going to head up this project for Yes California. He will be the director of creating a political party. The first task will be identifying a platform of issues all candidates can agree to, roughly to be about California independence or sovereign choice, with a range of options for people to choose to, in addition to maybe some other California values. I think it shouldn't be more than about 5 to 10 points. We will be accepting of all political parties, and we will not just be another lefty party. We are agreed on that, and no one opposes that? Okay, congratulations, Fuji. For confirmation, you are willing to be part of Yes California and be an officer who is directing this project, correct?
Yes.
Then it's done.
Yes to you and yes to California.
Okay. I don't know how. I just nodded my head and it took over the whole screen. Does it work again? No. Okay. Whoa, it does. Huh.
Whoa, that is pretty awesome. Let me be the first to welcome our newest Congress member for the Calexit Congress. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Family, unity, justice, integrity.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much, everybody.
And Devil War loves the fact that you're there. So agreed, Fuji, you're part of Yes California. We'll list you as a Calexit Congress member. You will be identified as the director of this project. The next step for Fuji is to come up with a platform of issues. Obviously, the Congress has to approve that. However, if you'd like to work on this platform of, can I get agreement that it shouldn't be more than 5 to 10? I don't want to have a 20-thing list. People get burned out. Can we keep it to 5 to 10 things everybody agrees with? Is anybody opposed to that idea?
I think 10 is good. 5 is like you're gonna have to choose what's the most pressing issue.
And it's obviously, I don't think it should be mandatory that everyone agrees with all 10, but it should be like a guideline, like maybe 10. Come up with 10 core principles.
Anybody opposed to 10 and no more than 10? Okay. And it's going to be a platform of 10 issues.
10 issues it is.
Okay. So I will send out who wants to work with Fuji on working on this platform. Again, it's not just you make it and it gets accepted. It's you make it. It should be something you're planning on people. A lot of people who are not totally comfortable with Calexit could live with, but also keeps it, theologically intact for Yes California. who would like to work with Fuji, I'll make sure you're in contact.
Moi, s'il vous plaît, monsieur.
Done. Jason, Lewis, Robert, do you guys want to be involved?
Yeah, for sure.
Lewis?
I mean, I think that I will participate as I can, but I wouldn't want them to be waiting on me at particular meetings because of my time difference. So if I can show up to contribute in some manner, I will. But don't wait up on me if I don't show up on time.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So what we'll do is we'll have it as Fuji's going to drive the project, and he's going to get results. If you can be there, great. If you can't, things move forward. That's generally how we do it. I added the California Reform Alliance Party and the California Rebel Alliance. Thanks, Sam and Mike and Lewis. Keep those suggestions going. Anybody in the public, you can also suggest a name. We don't have one yet. So is that cool, Fuji?
Absolutely.
Okay, so Fuji's going to start directing this. I will put Jason, Lewis, Robert in touch with Fuji. We'll have no more than 10 platforms. It has to be something a lot of people can live with, but yet ties to our mission statement. And maybe we'll try to have something next week. That doesn't mean it's finalized, but start the discussion before next week. Is that workable, Fuji?
Yes, it is.
And you don't have to wait for anybody. So I'll put people in contact, but it's like, hey, we're going to meet in 2 days. You have your meeting. Whoever shows. But here in California, while we do have routine progress checks, we don't wait for anyone. So don't wait for nobody. That's not how we work. We get things done.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
But, there's one thing I like to say to everybody. 1849, and I'm 49. Just saying. My age. 1849 and well, California, and then my age, 49. Is that coincidence or is it providence? Is it good luck? It's all of the above. But I just wanted to throw that out there. It didn't happen next year. It didn't happen last year. Kevin, Marcus and everybody here, we met in some form or fashion. I think it was for a reason. And this is it. Yes to California.
Nice. Okay, so Fuji is a Calexit Congress member. He's an officer of Yes California, who'll be the director of creating the political party or the exploration of the political party. His first task will be to identify a platform of no more than 10 issues all candidates can agree to, basically getting to sovereign choice, or what we call a Fuji spot, and moving up from there. It is accepting of all political parties, isn't just another lefty group. Jason, Robert, and Lewis have agreed to be in dialogue with him. If anybody else wants to be in dialogue, contact me. I will include you. I'm going to say that this section is now complete.
Marcus, real quick, if I could just...
Yeah.
I just wanted to clarify. I think that the most effective way that I can contribute to that effort is not so much by participating in the daily meetings, for two reasons. One is because I don't have a strong opinion on what the political party's platform will be. I don't like politics. So I wouldn't want to sit there and try to put my political views into the platform. But B, I think that I can contribute. Once it's done, I could do things like website design and putting that kind of stuff together once it's all established. So once it's all ready to go, I think I can contribute in that way. That's the kind of things that I do for Yes California, website design, that kind of stuff. So once you got what you've decided you want to do, then let's put it together and put it on a website. Got to get a URL for it, the name, something.com or whatever. Set up emails, set up the website, set up the blog, set up email list, and so on and so forth. So I can help with that once that stuff is put together.
That's great. Thank you, Lewis. Awesome. Very much appreciated.
Well,
all right. Okay, then it's done. I'll send out an email today. It'll outline the next steps. We'll basically develop a platform. Once we have those 10 points, Then we'll zero in on what those are, make sure they're applicable for everybody, something everyone can live with. Once we have the 10 points of the platform, we're kind of steamrolling then. We'll actually have something we can start to put together.
So we're going to have an official meeting on this?
Yes, but only for the people who wanted to be part, and Fuji will not be holding up the project to accommodate everybody. So I'm going to put everybody in touch. I'll do it this afternoon. Robert, Lewis, and Jason, and Fuji. And Fuji's going to set some meetings for some times. I can also help facilitate setting up StreamYard. You guys will have some discussions, iron out 10 points, and then bring it back to the Congress, and we will edit it some more and get it approved. Once we have that platform designed and approved, then we can go to the next level.
Thank you, everybody.
Okay. Any other questions for Fuji? Otherwise, I'm going to let him go. You don't have to go, Fuji. You can stay. Any other questions for Food?
I have one.
Yes.
I guess this could be a discussion for later, but there are two paths for qualifying the political party in California. Did you read up on those at all? Like,
Yes, and I will explain that Sunday. Yes.
Okay, fine.
Yes. Yes, indeed.
Okay.
Correct. You're correct, Lewis. And that will be discussed Sunday, upcoming Sunday.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay.
Okay, so how to qualify a party, and then also a platform discussion. So next Sunday, we'll have a discussion on the platform. We'll have a discussion on how to qualify the party, and we'll have a debate on the versions of independence.
Yes.
Sunday. Okay. Done. 1, 2, 3. Done. Next Sunday.
Mhm.
Okay. Any other comments?
If I may, yeah, mine's not really a question. It's just a straight up comment. It's to do with being middle ground, middle of the road. And this is my personal political read on this all, my personal analysis, is that most of California, though most of us do seem to be registered to the Democratic Party, it's not like most California voters are like, hardcore party heads, right? Like with Republicans, a lot of the times there's I vote for whoever my party puts up because I vote for my party. Which, hey, that's your choice. It's your vote. You get to make your vote and your choice. But it seems like most of the rest of California, like 3/4 of California's voters, vote blue because the blue's always the one in charge, and when you have to choose red or blue, green's not an option, gold isn't an option, none of the other ones are an option, only red or blue. Well, then most Californians tend to choose blue. However, if we provide something that's middle ground enough that hardcore red folk, or maybe anyone other than the most hardcore of the red folk, and anyone other than the most hardcore of the blue folk, they might be able to actually get behind it. If it's something sane,
Duly noted.
reasonable,
Duly noted. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's
Excellent point.
It's
Excellent
a huge
point.
opportunity
Noted.
to secure a vast swath of California's voters.
Good point. Excellent point. Thank you, Jason.
Jason, you have more? He's dialoguing with you. So is Jason, is Fuji picking up what you're saying?
Yes, and I think it's an excellent point. It's duly noted, and I'll incorporate that information and that information into this upcoming Sunday. because that's another valid concern and an excellent point that should be addressed.
Hello, Hector M. Gerardo. You should email me at Marcus Ruiz Evans if you want to be in contact with the Yes California Calexit Independence Campaign. Let me put my email up real quick if I can. Sorry, everybody. 1 second. Hector Gerardo from Sonora Independence. Email me at marcus.ruiz.evans@gmail.com. We love meeting other independence movements, love making connections with other independence movements, just like we made connections with people in Hawaii and Bougainville and Baja and Alaska and Catalonia and India and Russia. Please contact us.
Hong Kong.
Well, that we've made direct contact with. Okay, so back to the subject. Sorry. Fuji. Any other things you want to say?
Not right now. I'm ready for Sunday. And I got an excellent feedback from everybody. And those valid concerns will be addressed this Sunday.
Okay. Let me make some notes how to qualify and endpoints and versions of independence. Okay. Marcus, party note. All right, just had to get those notes out. Okay, Fuji, you're free to go. You don't have to stick around.
Thank you, everybody.
Okay, thanks, brother.
Not to make some other calls, but California, yes to everybody here. Thank you for this great time and honor. Today is August the 1st, 2021. It's a new beginning, and we open up a new chapter in all of our lives. And I'm in the city of Los Angeles, the city of angels, because all of you are Californians. All of you are angels in some form or fashion. And then the better angels, we'll all find a path forward as yes Californians. Thank you, everybody. God bless.
This is awesome. I'm telling you. Gerardo, thanks. Email us. So we just made another connection with another international independence movement right now. You saw that live because Yes California is globally known. So we can do things like that. Okay, moving on. I want to get to, so we're agreed about the party. Great, we'll move on that. Jason, Lewis, Robert, I will email you today about that. And next Sunday, we will talk about the platform, how to qualify a party, and different versions of independence. Let's get to the meat and potatoes, if we can. So I always like to cover, why are we having this discussion every week? You know, why are we here? Why is it relevant to talk about what if California needs to become independent? So let's get started with that. First off, I'm going to show you how things are going to get really good for our movement very soon. So, number one. Actually, I'm going to take a 30-second break and get another cup of coffee. If everybody could hang out for 30 seconds to 1 minute, no more than 1 minute, I'll be right back. I need some caffeine. 30 seconds to 1 minute, I'll be right back. I'll be right back. Sorry.
You still need it though.
Should I serenade us?
Okay, we are back. Thank you for being patient. Really appreciate it. This is how I'm able to do what I do with caffeine. Now we're going to get to the main part of why we have these meetings every week, why this is the most important conversation that Californians can have, and keeping our trend of making predictions that turn out to be right before anyone else says it, and covering news that no one else is comfortable covering that indicates the way things are going. We're pretty good at that. So let's go into it a little bit more. Here is this week's information that the mainstream news isn't going to cover, but that you can find here. So first one, we're talking about unity and coming together. So Katie Benner is a New York Times reporter, and she just said that work to combat legitimate national security threats now entails calling politician supporters enemies of the state. She's referring to the January 6th coup, which I view as a coup, or January 1st coup, I view as a coup. However, we're talking about, one of the main critiques of Calexit is America's going to come together. You don't need to look at having to go on your own because Trump's gone, Biden's here, everything's going to get fixed and put back together. Well, it's months into the Biden administration, and a reporter for the New York Times posted a tweet recently that said, all of the people who voted for Donald Trump are, quote, enemies of the state. That's as bad as it gets, 1939 Nazi party, identifying people as enemies of the state. So she wrote that. She has not apologized. She took the post down, but she says, it just wasn't worded well. That's not what I meant. I don't buy that at all. I think it's clear. But what's most important is that the New York Times has said nothing. They didn't criticize her. They didn't say that's wrong. She hasn't been reprimanded. She hasn't been removed. So it's basically okay if you're a New York Times reporter to refer to half of America as an enemy of the state. And the New York Times will back that up. That's this week, not making it up. That does not spell unity. Here's what also doesn't spell unity. Joe Biden's approval rating has dropped. Now, he was doing in the high 50s, 60s, and the news was saying, look how great he is. Everybody loves him. He's done a massive drop. Why is he dropping? Well, things aren't working out. He was promising that America is going to come back together. Unity is going to happen. It's clear that's not happening. He was promising that the coronavirus was going to be over. Things were going to work out. It's not happening. People see a government that still isn't able to deliver results, and they see a country that's not coming together and that has dropped his approval rating, just like we said. We said months ago, America is not going to come together. He is not going to fix the country. There will be a few months where the media just says everything's wonderful with rose-colored glasses and isn't going to look at the facts. And that we predicted there would be an end of what's the media honeymoon right about now. And we were right. So we said this months ago when nobody wanted to hear it, Joe Biden was not going to make America come together. There was not going to be unity. Things were not going to get fixed. Turns out we were completely correct. We said it before anybody, and we were right. Here's how it gets worse. So Joe Biden apparently has done so poorly that Crystal and Sagar do political reviews. They used to do Rising. Now they've moved on to Breaking Points. They cover stuff, but it's all mainstream sources. So here's one. ABC Ipsos poll. Biden is going down under independents on a range of issues. Now there's certain ones he's doing well on, coronavirus, etc. But there's other issues he's just doing horribly on. And part of it's unity. So he's doing so poorly that some liberals now are predicting the midterms are going to go to the Republicans. That's a year away. When the midterms, if they go to the Republicans, expect Californians to come running to Calexit. When Trump was elected, we got a boost with Calexit. When the Senate refused to hear the evidence against Kavanaugh, we got a boost for Calexit. When Amy Coney Barrett was nominated and accepted, we got a boost for Calexit. So whenever the federal system doesn't work the way people think it should, we get a massive boost for Calexit. Joe Biden is not doing well. The unity is not happening. And a lot of the things that he said he was going to deliver are not coming to be. And just generally, the economy is going into a recession and coronavirus isn't getting over. And Biden promised everybody that by July 4th, it would all be over. Now, maybe it's not his fault, but people are disappointed. And he's in charge. And this is not good for the Dems winning midterms, which means if they lose midterms, we have a Republican Party back in control. That will scare Californians back to us. In fact, it's so bad that they're also predicting now that Trump will win the 2024 presidency and he will run. So here you go, crystal ball, prepare to see Trump back in the White House. This is a liberal. And you can see what's more likely is Trump will win. So what she's saying is things did not get better under Biden. Coronavirus isn't going away. The recession's going into a inflation. The border is a horrible mess. And you don't have to like Trump and you can think Biden's better, but this does not look good for Biden. So he loses midterms. It's just all set up for Trump to return. If the Democrats lose midterms, we will have an explosive growth in Calexit. If at that time Trump rides that wave and says he'll be running in 2024, yes, he already announced, but if he's extra running and it looks even more plausible, then I expect there to be a bunch of terrified articles going, oh my God, Trump's going to be in and the world's going to be over. Expect more people into Calexit. So we are strategically planning for midterms to scare the blank out of California and have people go, oh my God, Trump could win again and the Republicans are back in charge. And also Biden wasn't able to achieve any of these things. And all those realizations will happen with the midterm elections, about a year away. So we are staging ourselves for a comeback. We've managed to keep our numbers and we expect there will be massive growth and that midterms will go their way. Let's see here, private chat. Okay, again, another comment I can't use. Okay, so a little bit more news. Here we go.
If I may cut in
Yeah,
real
please.
quick.
Yeah.
Sometimes I hate being right. We were talking back when before the election was finalized, when we still figured Trump might actually win it again. Back in those days, right when it was the, oh my goodness, Biden won moment, we were talking about, well, what does it mean really though? I mean, so what, Biden won this one? we know it's always the push and pull. We went from Bush, Bush Jr., who I don't know. I mean, maybe Trump would be the only person who could be more opposite from Obama, right? And we went from Bush Jr. to Obama. And then we went to Trump. So if he gets in again in 4 years, 3 years, or not, it's always going to be this same thing. It's always going to be this tug of war that's constantly adding more people to each side as they get to tug. Oh, it's your turn to tug. So now you get 10 extra people to tug. Oh, wow, look at that. They tugged us really hard. Okay, now it's our turn to get, 15 more people. And we're going to tug. Haha, look at you all fall in the mud now. Well, it seems like fun and games for them, because for them it is fun and games. But for us, the average, ordinary, everyday people, we're the ones who suffer constantly, day in, day out. And, my prediction back then was Biden may have won it for now, but when he was vice president, he wasn't the worst vice president ever, but he wasn't notably amazing. So I figured back then, he's going to underwoo people. And what we're seeing. And an underwooing of the people might actually do more harm than good, especially since we see the DNC is so unwilling to finally get behind the majority populace's choice, Senator Bernard Sanders, who would have landslided all over Trump both times, by the way. Never would have had a Trump if it wasn't for Debbie Wasserman Schultz. Just saying. But, it's all said and done now. And so we can look at the past, we can examine the trend, and project for the future. And this isn't really rocket science, and this isn't like the most complex economic trend, evaluation. This is pretty simple, 2 + 2 = 4 kind of basic math. There will be another, and he's already announced. Every Trump fan that I know knows that Trump is running again. So, acknowledge it or not, believe it or not, but people that believe in that man already know that he is running and are already planning on voting for him. So the opposition to such a person would have to really woo the people, really awe people and inspire them enough that you get massive turnout, because people say, wow, here's something I can get behind and I am excited to throw my vote in. They can either do that, which they're unwilling to do time and time again, or they can do what they usually do, and that's go with whoever's kind of the least popular. I mean, Biden started off his presidential candidacy with 0 events for an entire month, had 1%. And And who did he pick for vice? Oh, that's right, Kamala Harris, who was so unpopular in her home state, which is one of the largest chunks of votes in the nation, so unpopular that it would have looked really bad to go through with it and get that result. It's better to have stepped away and not had a tomato thrown in your face in front of everybody, right? And that's who they picked to support the guy with 1%. I'm not surprised. I'm honestly not surprised because it's pretty much as I predicted, which means get ready for it. Here's a hard prediction, and maybe this is just me, but I honestly see Trump actually getting more votes in 3 years from now than he got the first time around. Like I think the other side has done such a poor job that they have helped to reinforce and grow Trump's base. And I know we're not like an anti-Trump thing. We're California independent. But I'm spelling this all out because, folks, this is what we're going to continue to go through every 4 years, like clockwork, until the days that we all die, unless we do something different. And for those of you who would say, then change the federal government. Yes, I know. It's a nice sentiment. Not going to happen. Any realist who knows the federal government's not going to change. Trying to change the federal government from the inside is not going to happen. California needs, for all of our own sake, needs to get away from that. Because the more we get to push me, pull you, the more that we're all getting defecated on. And I use the scientific term there so that I don't have to.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Jason. Thank you. That's Jason Wright, the Bay Area Regional Coordinator for Yes California, and my personal go-to for understanding politics. He's one of the people that I routinely consult with on where he thinks the political environment is going. Jason Wright is one of the people that joined Yes years ago, and like many of us, started off as a rank amateur and just grew to be an expert. Part of the reason that we're able to seem like we are political professionals is because we are committed to constantly learning and doing better. And, Jason could testify to that. So he's grown, as I have, as Lewis has everyone in this movement has, to get even better and more professional. And he was talking about his ideas of where the politics are going to go and why Trump will win again. And I think it's insightful. Now, sometimes our predictions are wrong, but usually they're right. And our reasoning is always spot on. Eddie Alvarado, real quick, Calexit would never have it. U.S. needs California income to subsidize the Republican states. Good point, Eddie Alvarado, but here's the thing you're missing, sir. Persona. The Republicans think that California is a welfare state and they subsidize us. So as I routinely tell people, you're a Californian. What you're talking about is the truth. These people watch Fox News, which tells them that we can't manage our state, we're horrible with money, and they spend all their money to subsidize us. So even though California subsidizes 35 states and has done so since like 81, they don't know that. And they don't think that. And they think it's the total opposite. Honest to God, that's how they view it. You can go, wow, that's silly and dumb. I get it, but that is how they view it. So they would allow us to be cut. 35 states would be fine if California is gone because they would view it as them making money. Yes, that's ignorant and backwards, but that's how they view it. And no one's going to get them to change their mind. So we do think we could leave. Old data. Actually, it's not. So I know that some people are saying there's a report saying California doesn't subsidize America anymore. It breaks even. That is a trash report. So that's something you'll see this year. What they're talking about is a New York City study, not even a California study. So this should send red flags. Why are California newspapers not quoting a California think tank or a California university study? Why are they quoting a New York City study? By the way, that New York City study says nobody's a donor state but New York, and New York has it worse than anybody. Does that seem like it's politically unbiased? Hey, everybody, New York made this exhaustive study, and it says California's not a donor state, which you guys have been complaining about. It's us, New York. We're the donor state, and we have it worse than anybody. That's our official report. That's not politically expedient. We have the Public Policy Institute of California. We have the Little Hoover Institute at Stanford. There is multiple policy schools at multiple California universities. Why aren't we using our own study? How come California universities and newspapers aren't using California-based data? Why are they referring to a New York study? Also, when you read that New York study, their numbers are not official, they're estimates. Why are we referring to a study that uses estimates and not official data and was not done by Californians and only looks at 1 year? So I get that the news is saying that California is not a donor state, we break even, but how come that didn't come from us? Why did that study look at 1 year? Why is the news acting like it looks at 30 years? Why is nobody calling out the fact that that study said that New York has it worse than anybody, which shows political bias? And so bias study, why aren't we using our own data? How come they're using 1 year and their numbers are estimated and they say that in their report? None of that's mentioned by the news. So I find that information highly unreliable, and I look forward to a yes California study. Now, occasionally California does break even. Occasionally. 2013, 2014, we had more than we gave it because it was inflated fake dollars. I think there was also one time in 1995. But when you look at the trajectory of 40 years, okay, you can have I'll give you 5 years where California breaks even, but I'm going to take 36 years where we don't. So what's the truth? California breaks even or it's a donor state? Well, looking at just 1995, it breaks even. That's fake statistics, folks. What is the trajectory over 4 decades? Still a donor state. Use our information and question sources. This is an unreliable source, and the media is going with it and not questioning, which we pointed out to you. Sometimes they mislead you. Why are we the only ones that read that New York report? How come we're the only ones breaking down the data? Why are we the only ones pointing out the inequities in it? I don't know, but we are, and the mainstream media won't cover that. You can answer why. Okay, moving on. Here's the last part. Okay, so why do we have this conversation? Well, here's information. San Francisco Gate, which is San Francisco Chronicle, one of the largest newspapers here, talked about how Californians a week ago are going into Montana and they're not being welcome. In fact, the hate against Californians was so extreme, it caused this newspaper to write an article. So they are hearing multiple Californians moving to Montana and being treated horribly, and they were shocked by how poorly Californians were treated by fellow Americans in an American state. They decided to write an article about it. America does not like Californians. By the way, Montana is one of the 35 states we're talking about that's conservative, hates us, thinks that they donate to us, and would love to see us gone. Now, I know you can't see the article. This is basically San Diego Union Tribune news, immigration story, border appointment. Let me show you what that was showing. Here's the San Diego Tribune article, immigration status, border appointments, asylum. And here's the key quote. I'll read it for you in full. The program to set appointments for certain asylum seekers is the result of a temporary agreement between the feds and the American Civil Liberties in a lawsuit challenging the legality of border policy that began under the Trump administration during the pandemic and continued under the Biden administration. So, point is, Trump's horrible border policy continued under Joe Biden. And here's the San Diego Union Tribune admitting that when we said this 3 months ago. Nobody wanted to hear that. Nobody said that. We said it months ago. Now here's a major California newspaper going, okay, Joe and Trump basically the same on the border. I mean, Biden's literally just continuing Trump policies. He's had 6 months. You can't say he's new or didn't know. He likes some Trump policies on the border and with refugees, and he's just going to continue them. So we said that months ago. Now everybody's cluing in. Here's another one. Another thing
can
we
I
said.
interject real quick?
Yeah, please.
With a fun fact.
Please.
I just saw earlier this morning, and I didn't have time to pull a link to the article, but there's something going around about there's a push to have Kamala Harris replaced on the whole border czar or whatever title that they're calling it. Yeah, because it's all going that bad.
So just to show you that we are a movement, I had not talked to Jason about this, but I was looking at the same thing, and we were going to cover that literally. So because we're a movement, everybody knows what we're talking about. So just proving to you, it's not a cult. It's a bunch of people who all agree this is a good idea. Here's what Jason's talking about. Henry Cuellar. He's a Latino, and he's on the border, and he's a Democrat. Latin Democrat, doesn't like Trump on the border, and he's saying Kamala Harris and Mayorkas, both Californians, are so horrible at handling the border, they need to be fired and replaced with someone else. A Democrat minority on the border is saying, yeah, that Californian called Kamala Harris, who is supposed to run the border, and the other Californian, Mayorkas, who runs Homeland Security, they are so horrible at keeping Latin kids not in concentration camp conditions. They need to be replaced. Think about that for a second. People go on and on about, oh, Californians are in the federal government. We'll be able to make sure that our values are upheld. You don't need to secede. California has outsized influence in the federal government to uphold California values. What's this? Californians don't like kids in cages. Californians don't like refugees refused at the border. Californians don't like Latinos being treated like scum and crap. It's been going on for months. Kamala Harris, a Californian, was in charge of that. Mayorkas is also from California and was also in charge of that. So how come two Californians can't uphold California values? It's the head of Homeland Security and the vice president, and they can't ensure that things that disgust and horrify us are achieved. So why should we believe that when Californians go to the federal government, we'll get things that are important to us? Latinos in cages is not something Californians are cool with. How come two high-ranking Californians could do absolutely nothing about it and did so horrible that Democrats are saying fire them? Maybe it's because something we've said here at Yes California. When you go to work in DC, you no longer work for us. And that's why secession is the only way we can achieve our values, because participating in the federal system doesn't work. This is an example. Federal government is human trafficking and usinflationcalculator.com. Thank you, guys.
Yeah. On the human trafficking one, if I may, real quick, I fully agree. There was a case that was brought to light of like hundreds of children who had been put into cages and then just kind of randomly disappeared to families who are looking to adopt, American families. And, you know, have been people who have tried to justify it to me as, well, at least now those kids are American and going to get a good life. And having been an orphan and gone through group homes and foster care, I wholeheartedly, with every ounce of my being, disagree with that statement. As someone who has been there, it is not the way. Be an American citizen and get to live with the rights and privilege that are afforded in America that aren't afforded in another place. Yeah, that's great. Being sold to people, that is not great. Being treated like a commodity, that is not great. It does something to a person on the inside because they know they're nothing but a commodity.
Thank you.
And yeah, this was our United States federal government that oversaw this whole thing and wasn't going to say anything about it and only worked to get the kids back once there was enough stink made about it. Once they had been caught red-handed.
Thank you. Okay, I need to cover a few more things. We got 9 minutes. I'm just going to plow through them. So continuing the discussion, here's another way that Biden is just like Donald Trump. So Donald Trump changed the federal tax law to remove the SALT cap, state and local tax, and it's called SALT. And now he did that specifically to punish New York and California. They are admitting in this article that Joe Biden has done absolutely nothing to repeal that. So Donald Trump enacts a policy to specifically hurt California and tear down our economy because our economy is based on high income taxes. We have a huge wealth gap between the poor and the super wealthy. And the way that we were able to base our tax structure so that revenues kept going throughout the recession was to change it to be majority high level income tax so that the poor aren't taxed, but we're able to make profits off the super wealthy and direct it into the budget. That's worked wildly successful for California. However, it is based upon the super wealthy being able to write off some of their state and local tax to reduce their federal income tax level. Donald Trump realized the California economy was based upon this and specifically changed the tax law to hurt us and drive our tax base out of California so that it would ruin our economy and ruin our ability to provide services for us. Joe Biden has done absolutely nothing at all to fix that. So Donald Trump did this to ruin us economically, and Joe Biden is keeping it in place. What's the difference between a guy that wants us destroyed and a guy who cares so little he'll allow us to be destroyed? Nothing.
Well, and California Kamala is vice freaking president. Like, she can't bend his ear.
Good point. And neither can Nancy Pelosi and Mayorkas and Becerra. So you got two cabinet secretaries, your vice president, and the third highest ranking of Congress, all from California, and they can't undo this thing designed by Trump to ruin us. They also can't fix the border so the kids aren't in cages. Like, how are you representing California then? Again, not covered by the news. Okay, one more piece. This is Becerra also saying his comments were taken widely out of context. That's not true. He was ordered by the Biden administration to go on TV and say, we're going to start collecting your data and you have to tell us if you have the vaccine or not. This is not a California value. So getting the vaccine, wildly popular in California. Protecting your right to privacy, is enshrined in the California Constitution and is a California value. We were the first ones to do internet privacy. So here's a Californian going against your right to privacy to the point that it scared the hell out of all of Americans that he was creating some sort of Stasi government. Another Californian, not enacting California values, just like Harris, just like Mayorkas. And my favorite part is, remember when Nancy Pelosi admitted that she denied stimulus checks to California in December, giving people the worst Christmas they've had in 40 years and causing mass homelessness here. Californians did that. So I want to make sure I covered everything. Californians have failed to influence the federal government. They cannot provide California values. You also saw how Biden's popularity is going down. Reporters can refer to America as enemies of the state. Midterms are looking bad for the Dems because they're not delivering on anything. Independents are moving away from them. Montana people hate California, like we've always said, and the Biden administration has kept the tax plan to punish us and the horrible border conditions. And that's not going to change. Finally, a little bit of good news. Second here. They are creating Stasi, corrupt as the day is long. True, Sam. Yeah, corrupt as the day is long, and they are creating Stasi. Yes. One last thing I need to show you. We are creating a non-fungible token. Just a little bit of update. We have a Coinbase wallet app. We have a Coinbase app, and we have a Rarible page. And all three of these things need to work. As I understand, Coinbase is what allows you to sell cryptocurrency. Coinbase wallet is what allows you to accept the money made from selling your cryptocurrency. And Rarible is where you can make your non-fungible token or cryptocurrency. This isn't the logo. It's close to it. I already showed you. We're going to do a fixed price of $99 in US dollars, service fee of 2.5% on Rarible. It's basically going to be the Yes California Calexit NFT. Royalties of at 10%. We'll be releasing about 2,000 copies. I was going to have it up, except the platform that I have linked on my phone has these three things linked. And this program won't allow me to upload the image. We're still looking at that. But I just want to let you know we're getting super, super, super close. And yeah. Okay, 2 minutes left. Any last minute comments? I'm going to make an announcement here.
I do, Marcus. 1 minute.
Yeah. Yeah, please.
What is the, I guess, reason for there being $99 tokens and that there's being only 2,000 of them available? There are tokens out there that are, and coins out there that are worth pennies, and people buy millions of them, and they can do so because they're worth pennies. I think that unless there's some I'm not an expert, unless there's some technical reason, I would suggest maybe making them making them very cheap and issuing very many of them so that everybody could buy a Calexit token and flaunt it around and show everybody, hey, look, I support the Calexit campaign because I bought 1 million Calexit tokens for $10 or something like that, right? It's kind of a thing that people do with these like penny stocks before. You could buy penny stocks. You could buy several shares of a penny stock.
I'm sorry. 1 second. Let me stop something. Okay. Sorry. I have to go to another meeting in 1 minute. The reason for that was I don't know exactly what I'm doing, and I'm expected to make decisions. So I am open to all sorts of input.
Okay, well, let's hold it to the next meeting.
Can I interject to keep it quick?
As long as
I
we're
was
wrapped
in
up
on
in 60
that.
seconds.
Yeah, I know. I was in on all of that, and I understand it. Lewis we can talk about that. I would be willing to look into that, and I would be willing to bring that to DeWong since things are not yet 100% final.
Okay, well, cool. Well, just look at the Dogecoin, for example. Dogecoin is worth 20, 25 cents right now. That's a popular thing because everybody can participate in that. Not a lot of people are going to buy a 99-cent or $99 coin. So that's all I'm saying. Is if it's going to be widespread, it's going to be more popular because more people can participate in it, and they can demonstrate their support for Calexit, even if they wanted to put a quarter in, something like that.
Just real quick, what price are you suggesting and what number? So
I don't know if there's some technical reasons, but if there's not any technical limitations, then maybe start off something like a nickel or something like that. Because if you have, say for example, you have $1, right? And with that $1, you could buy 20 Calexit coins. Anybody basically could do that. And then anybody can say to their friends, I bought 20 Calexit coins. And that's going to spread word of mouth, and it's going to be popular then, just like Dogecoin was pennies. It was like 6 cents when I first bought it. Now it's worth.
I have to go. So you're saying
let's the call for later on, and then we'll discuss it later.
I need an answer to one question before you go. You're saying 5 cents for how many?
For one.
You want us to release one? Okay. How many total should we release?
Unless there's
however
limitations.
Many we can.
Why not?
At 5 cents a token.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know what the technical limitations are, but if you could do 1 million tokens and they're each worth 5 cents, then more people will buy them.
Okay.
And if the value increases over time, then people can look forward to that increasing over time. It's maybe even if it goes 10 cents a piece, then people have doubled their value.
Okay.
But it's not going to go to $200 a piece. You're not going to have any investment growth there. Okay. But anyway, let's talk about it later.
We got to stop there. Thank you so much. I'm going to go to another meeting, but I lost track. Thank you all.